Who will dethrone every current WWE champion post-SummerSlam edition? I'm Will, that's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers. Talk about some wrestling,
Yeah, we've done this video a couple different times. I think we did it last year. It was one of our most watched videos. Obviously, if you watch Santi or Simon or any of those guys, they also do this stuff. And it's a really fun idea. So we thought after a crazy, wild SummerSlam, let's forecast way down the road with all of these.
We also wanted to have fun with only Raws happened since SummerSlam, so not really any solidified stories happening. So we're taking our best shot, our best guesses. Let's get into it. Let's start with the whole tag division as a whole. So Raw, SmackDown, Women's. We're going to start with the men's on the Raw side because right now JD and Finn are kind of just chilling and relaxing in behind scenes of Raw right now. Not really defending, not really in a feud, just kind of being themselves. Who are going to be the people to dethrone JD and Finn for the tag titles?
Yeah, you almost made him sound like Will Smith.
I know,
Fresh Prince. Yeah, Fresh
yeah.
Prince. There we go. I don't know which one would be the Prince, though. I guess. What
do you mean?
I guess Finn.
Prince.
I guess Finn's got to be. I don't know if he's fresh anymore. But this one's kind of tough. I don't really see Raw having the tag team to do this. So I think there's a draft hinted that we don't really know of, but there's also rumors that there's not really a draft and people are just going to go wherever. So SmackDown tag division is obviously stacked. Really kind of just take your pick is what I thought. I went ahead. I picked this team to win the tag titles at SummerSlam. So I just said, you know what? Put them over on Raw. Give me Fraxium. I don't really have any real reasoning other than, hey, I like them. I think they're pretty cool. I think they're awesome. So do that. But you could also say that for any of the other 5 tag teams on SmackDown.
Right. I kind of went into my bag on this one, I think. We had some comments about what happened on Raw with the multiple El Grandes, and somebody reminded me that way back before El Grande was even a thing, Dirty Dom was talking to Mr. Chad Gable way before all this started. And then all of a sudden, Chad Gable recruited Mr. El Grande Americano to come over to Raw. And now, since then, what do we got? There's at least 3 El Grandes, maybe more in the shadows. I have some pairing of 2 El Grande Americanos eventually taking the titles off of JD and Finn once we get the inevitable split up down the line of whenever that happens, when Dom is no longer a part of Judgment Day, whether that be in a month, 5 months, I don't really care. I think it'd be fun to have a team of El Grandes walk into Raw in the tag division, become champions.
Yeah, I mean,
hell yeah.
Why not?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's picks for the people, I guess,
SmackDown men's tag champs, they just came off a phenomenal TLC match at SummerSlam. We all knew it was coming in terms of the quality of match. They nailed it. Wyatt Sicks remain champions, so we still got the craziness of the tag division on SmackDown. Who are going to be the ones to dethrone the Wyatt Sicks?
Yeah, pretty much what I said for the Raw tag division about any of these tag teams kind of goes for this one as well, really. I put Rey and Andrade on this one. I'm kind of on board with your thoughts at this point. I think Street Profits probably deserve a shout out here. Why not? Pretty Deadly is a sleeper pick if you want a long shot. I don't even know when they're coming back, when the health is a thing, but I went with Rey and Andrade. They're just fun, and I think some people have kind of hinted at the AAA merger, right? The acquisition, if they have a really great SmackDown WWE tag team and then a AAA tag team, they can kind of just have a feud of champion versus champion. I think that would be really cool. So go ahead and give me that.
Yeah, I went with Rey and Andrade as well. But my thing is I don't really care. Screw it. Hot potato the titles between all of them. Have DIY carry it 1 week, Street Profits, the next Fraxium, the next Rey and Andrade. I don't really care. At this point, the SmackDown tag titles are kind of just basically that, a hot potato. No one really cares about who's holding them. It's more of what matches are we getting for somebody to win them? So just keep upping the stakes. I don't know how they do that, but just keep giving us great stakes, great tag team matches, and hopefully that belt ends up in Rey and Andrade's hand at some point is kind of my take.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll throw even one more team out there. Psycho Clown and Mr. Iguana.
Why wouldn't you?
Why not? The people love them. They've been featured obviously a little bit. Had a match last week and they were shown throughout SummerSlam weekend. So why not?
I want the Iguana to pin one of the Wyatt Sicks members. Both of them are out in the middle of the ring, and then the Iguana just slithers on top of somebody and pins them.
Does the Iguana get its own title belt? I think that
of course it does.
That is,
of course it does. Of course, we have new women's tag team champions, and they've already defended the belts. They defended on Raw. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, new tag team champions, but who are going to be the ones to dethrone them?
Yeah, I think this is one that we can actually sit here and give a legitimate thought process to, right? I think with the Raw and the SmackDown tag divisions, you're kind of just like, one of them you don't really care about. One of them so awesome, you kind of don't care, like you said. But this one actually has some real stakes. You can actually sit there and think, okay, story-wise, long-term, I can actually plant the seeds. I can kind of book something here. I went with the Kabuki Warriors on this one. I think Io and Rhea are going to be the next tag team that probably challenge for that. I think that would be really fun. How long does that take to really get formed? I don't know. And then you get Charlotte and Alexa being friends at this point, and that can really kind of boost down the line a little bit longer. They're officially faces at that point. You got to have a heel tag team go against them. I think Kabuki Warriors by that point will be heels. And then you have the breakup of Charlotte and Alexa in the match. Kabuki Warriors get the pin there.
Yeah, I went with Kabuki Warriors as well, kind of because they're the only tag team that really is still a women's tag team at the moment, other than Roxanne and Raquel, which obviously they just had 2 opportunities, failed on both of them. So, I would assume they're not going to be the ones to pull it off. We are big fantasy bookers of Io Sky and Rhea Ripley eventually teaming up. If they end up doing that, those are the people who are going to take the titles for sure, and I would absolutely love it. But in terms of just what we've got right now, and what we haven't seen in a while is Asuka with a title. It feels like it's been way too long. People are wanting Kairi Sane to also get a title, so I do see the Kabuki Warriors down the line getting a shot and probably pulling off the titles from Charlotte and Alexa once they decide to fall out and break up.
Yeah, and I think there's also people could say potentially Io and Rhea maybe at Perth, right? If that match happens at Perth, if it's them versus Charlotte and Alexa at Perth, well, there's your answer there, I guess. But I feel like that would be a little bit too soon for Charlotte and Alexa to kind of lose those titles. So I think this is going to be a lengthy reign for Charlotte and Alexa. Yeah,
for sure. This is a down the line situation, I think. They should hold the belts for a long time. We talked about it in our Raw review, so check that out if you haven't already. Well, moving on to the U.S. titles, we'll start with the best title reign in all of wrestling right now, the Women's United States title. It's prestigious as all hell. Julia right now is holding that thing. She just beat Zelina last week on SmackDown, which was a great match. Not hitting on that. Julia, U.S. title, who's going to dethrone her?
Yeah, this one actually took me the longest time to put a name for this one because, as you said, she just defeats Julia. Seems like that's kind of done and over with, and she can kind of move on to something else. She seems like she's kind of a heel, but she's also kind of a tweener because people love her because she's awesome, but now she has Kiana James as her representative, and that just seems like a heel thing for me. So I thought to myself, what faces are really on SmackDown? And you think about it, and I'm like, well, not a lot. Not any here that I actually feel are legitimate threats. So we're going to have to do some booking here. I went with Mi Chin on this one. Why? She had a lot of matches against Chelsea Green, and she came up short just about every time. Eventually, I feel like maybe some random SmackDown, Mi Chin's like, you know what? I want to challenge for that title. And Nick Aldis goes, yeah, you know what? You're right. You have a match tonight. And then you sit there and you see the match and she wins, and you're like, oh, okay. Well, that was a surprise. That happened, and that's that.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I mean, Mi Chin's challenged for that thing 30 times already. I mean, eventually she's going to win. Try 31 might be the one. I don't know. I went ahead and went with Jordynne Grace because she has gotten a call up, technically, when Stephanie Velcro, when she got the call up, they also announced that Jordynne Grace had been called up to the SmackDown roster. Now she's still been in NXT doing her stuff in NXT, but eventually that call up has to happen. And what better than to come up and feud with Julia and really try to jumpstart the life into that United States title for the first time since Chelsea Green really made it feel great. So I would love for Jordynne Grace to come to the main roster, stay on the main roster, get herself this title, and have a great feud back and forth with Julia, because I feel like a great feud between both of them would boost both of them up, boost the United States title up. It would just be a great thing for SmackDown and women's wrestling as a whole. So I have Jordynne Grace.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And my whole thing, I almost put her down, but my thing was, when does that happen? I don't know. And I think with a lot of these titles, I think we're going to, or at least my thoughts were there's a lot of lengthy title reigns on this list for me, at least, when I was thinking about this. So there's got to be somewhat of a shorter one here or there. You can't have everybody hold the title for 8 months. So we got to have a shorter one sometime. Is Jordynne Grace up by that time? I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. Then the other side of the things, the men's U.S. title, Solo Sikoa in the worst match of SummerSlam, other than Sami Zayn, I guess. It was disappointing. Solo Sikoa defeated Jacob Fatu with the help of MFT in the steel cage match. Solo Sikoa, U.S. title. Who's going to be the one to dethrone him down the line?
Yeah, I had already picked Solo losing this at SummerSlam, so I'm going to stick with my choice. I feel like this one's a pretty easy, straightforward choice. I feel like we're just going to continue to run Solo versus Jacob Fatu over and over and over and over, and then we're going to stop, and then we're going to do it again, and it's going to keep going. So I got Jacob Fatu on this one. You could maybe talk me into some other, maybe bloodline member for Jacob Fatu on Jacob Fatu's side, right? Maybe Jacob's not the one that gets the win here, but I see none of that. So give me Jacob here.
You mentioned it at the very end there. I have Jimmy Uso winning the belt. I don't have Jacob Fatu winning the belt. I do think that we keep it in the bloodline. And Jimmy, I mean, people wanted him to win the U.S. title around WrestleMania time this year, but he ended up sacrificing himself for the betterment of the Jey Uso Gunther storyline. He has been involved and been in Jacob Fatu's corner this entire MFT versus Jacob Fatu storyline. I think it's time. Give him the belt. Jacob Fatu does not need a title. We were on the side of this feud does not need a title. So have Jimmy come steal it with Jacob's help. Jacob and Solo can go off and do their thing, and then Jimmy can kind of sort of separate from that and start defending against guys like Aleister Black, Damian Priest, etc.
Yeah, it didn't have to be super long for that to happen. I was a little hesitant because there were the rumors swirling about him going over to Raw, Jay, Naomi over there. So I was like, I don't really know. Maybe you get a Tama Tonga. Maybe Tama Tonga comes back. Maybe he's a face, and maybe he's your U.S. title holder. I think some way, somehow, it stays within this bloodline vortex, I would say, unfortunately, because you have a guy like a Damian Priest, or even, let's say, a Drew McIntyre, or, hey, remember R-Truth? Remember Ron Killings? Somebody. Like you said, this feud storyline vortex doesn't really need a title, but unfortunately, we got to deal with it.
Completely agree. Now, let's head on over to the Raw side of things and the Intercontinental titles. Becky Lynch, she ended up beating Lyra with the help of Bayley at SummerSlam. Nikki Bella looks to be next, but who's going to be the one that ends up dethroning Becky Lynch?
Yeah, I got some bad news. I don't have Nikki Bella doing it. So I think it's whoever is the next person. I have Bayley on this one. I really kind of sat there and thought about it. I don't think they obviously run Becky Lyra again. So you look at the women's mid-card over there, and I'm like, I don't really know who else there would be. You could maybe talk the potential of a Natalya or a Maxine, and Becky continues to work her magic and elevating. But I think for me, it's kind of time for Bayley to kind of get something. I feel like Bayley's been screwed time again. And it just kind of makes sense. And I mean, I think I would kind of enjoy it. I know Bayley title runs are a little hesitant. I know we're maybe a little bit more critical of that. But I got Bayley here just because I don't really see another path.
I started out with Bayley like you because I felt like Bayley could take it from Becky, and then we could circle back around to Lyra and Bayley, and Lyra could end up having the Intercontinental title after all this wreckage happened. But I always took a step back, and I went with just a personal pick of mine. I want Stephanie Vaquer to take that title off Becky Lynch down the line. I don't think she's beating Naomi at Clash or whatever it's called coming up here at the end of the month. And I do think that what you need to do is get her in a feud with somebody like Becky right now who can really try to elevate her on the mic. It would be a huge test because obviously she has a hard time speaking it, but if she just can hit the notes at the right time, it could really catapult her from being a fan favorite right now to like an all-time fan favorite. Like, we're ready to push this girl to the moon type thing. So just personally, I would love to see Stephanie Vaquer end up being the one down the road to take it off Becky.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I think that's a pretty, I would say, smart pick because like I said, your options are kind of limited on the Raw mid-card scene there.
There ain't much.
No. And they keep saying they're going to push Steph and push her and push her and push her. Well, we both kind of have her not winning. Maybe she does. Who knows?
That'd be crazy, yeah.
That would be wild. But I think that would be awesome if they did that. You could actually give her what she deserves.
Anyway, we'll move to the men's side of things, though. Dirty Dom. He beat AJ Styles at SummerSlam on his own, being smart, loosening up the boot. It was good stuff. Dirty Dom, IC title. Who's going to be the one that ends up taking it from him?
Yeah, I had, I guess, a couple of different options here. I ultimately decided to go with AJ. I kind of sided with you on this one. Finally, actually thought about it. Originally, my heart kind of thought Penta, maybe. I know they're kind of building up the AAA stuff, and Dom is the king of the luchadors. I do want Dom Dos belts. I think that would be awesome. I think that would be fun. You could use that, Dom. I don't know if you're watching. Probably not. But Penta, I think, would be a lot of fun. We always talk about Penta just goes out there and has matches with everybody every single week at times. Like, who does he want to fight? Well, I don't know. Go out there for 10, 15 minutes. Have a great match. What better way to have like Penta just have like some prestige, give him the IC title, just have like open challenges every week versus whoever. Like, you could sign me up for that. I think that would be awesome. But if you really look at it storyline wise, I don't know how many more cracks at it AJ is going to have at that IC title. And it's just kind of like, well, kind of like the Michin thing I said. Eventually, if you keep trying and trying and trying enough, I think you're going to knock that door down. You're going to conquer that. So I got AJ.
Yep, I have AJ Styles winning this thing. I do have Dom having 2 belts, so he'd be dirty dose belts or whatever you want to call them. It's going to be good stuff. But AJ's going to be the one that ends up taking the IC title off of him. And I have that not just due to the AJ Dom story. I have it personally because whenever Cena's done with Brock, I do think we go for the Triple Crown that John Cena never has, or Grand Slam champ, whatever you want to call it. And I think that we circle back around greatest hits. John Cena, AJ Styles is one of John Cena's best rivalries ever. To get an IC title, I just feel like that's a farewell tour check mark that we gotta hit. You get the belt on AJ Styles, you have John Cena go one-on-one with them down the line, and John Cena wins that thing. So AJ Styles rips it off Dom in order for any of that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good to me. I also, though, selfishly, we talked about personal once, I kind of want Dom just to hold the title all the way. John Cena challenges for it, and then Dom gets the win. You know, I think
clean.
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Why wouldn't
Dom holds John Cena back from being a Grand Slam.
And an I Quit match. Dom makes John Cena quit in his final match. It makes perfect sense.
Rap battle. Yeah, sign me
he
up.
Comes out in Spanish. That'd be sick. That'd be sick. Naomi, she pulled off the what's seemingly impossible. She defeated Rhea Ripley and Io Sky in a freaking awesome triple threat match at SummerSlam. Then we come out on Raw. She can't even get halfway through her promo without getting cut off. Damn you, WWE. Can't be doing that. Naomi, World Heavyweight Championship. Who's going to be the one that ends up dethroning her?
Yeah, when I talked about lengthy title feuds, I was really talking about the top 4. Well, I guess I should say 3 of the top 4. And this one's one of them for me. You have Naomi being the heel on Raw. You look at the baby faces. We don't think it's going to be Steph at Clash. And you're like, well, we just said Io is going to be in a tag team with Rhea, so that kind of cancels that out. So who do you have left? I have Liv Morgan, actually. I have Liv Morgan returning. I have Naomi having a lengthy title reign here. I have Liv Morgan taking that title belt off of her. I think Naomi's kind of deserved a long title reign. I know she's kind of hinted at maybe one last big long time run and then kind of going away for a little bit, maybe to start the family sort of stuff that people have been talking about for a little bit. And Liv getting a big time pop. I mean, obviously Liv's going to be a huge babyface when she comes back. What better way to have her just come in and take that title right there? Boom.
Yeah, that's totally fair. When I was going through my idea of who I wanted to dethrone her, I made sure I was like, Will, you're not going to say Io Sky or Rhea Ripley. I'm just going to force it out of it. Will that happen? Maybe, probably. I don't know. But me personally, we haven't gotten a resolution to Bianca and Naomi yet, really, truthfully. I mean, Bianca looked this woman in the eye and she lied to her, attacked her tag team partner, and then posed as her tag team partner in order to keep the titles. We need resolution there, and what better way than to have a world championship match between Naomi and Bianca Belair down the line, and then we get the title back on the EST. I feel like that'd be great. It'd be a great return for Bianca. She'd be on Raw, which would be cool. We haven't seen her on Raw in a while. Bianca Belair should come back and beat Naomi and settle all scores. Become champion.
You know, this time you usually handle the segues and how to roll into it. You say it'd be great for Bianca to be a champion. That's why I have her taking the title off Tiffany Stratton. I have her coming back, challenging Tiffany Stratton, taking the title off her there. I have Tiffany maybe a short title reign here, or shorter, I guess. The soonest, I guess I should say, to lose the belt here. And you talk about maybe there's no resolution. Well, what better way to have a resolution than maybe Perth? You have Naomi versus Bianca Belair, champion versus champion. I thought to myself, you know what? Yeah, sign me up. Everything you said about the EST, I want to see that. I want Bianca to have a title. It's much deserved in my opinion. I think somebody put it out there. It's been 400 days, 500. I don't remember how long it's been. A long time, way too long. So let's have Bianca come back. I just talked about Liv being a face, returning from injury. Bianca's going to be that as well. People miss Bianca. Have her defeat Tiffany. I don't really know who else would beat Tiffany because I thought it was going to be Jade. And you look around that women's landscape on SmackDown and I thought, well, there's not a lot left around here. Tiffany's kind of slayed everybody over there. So go ahead and give me Bianca Belair to defeat Tiffany.
That was good. I like that segue. Well done. Well, obviously we're talking about Tiffany Stratton now. And I'm kind of in the same boat in terms of storyline. I still have Jade taking the title off of Tiffany Stratton. But I think that we kind of turn Jade. I'm not going to say we're going to make Jade a full-on heel and she's going to be all of a sudden like, you know, doing heinous things on SmackDown or anything like that. But I think we give her some, you know, much needed attitude adjustment in terms of character. We saw a little bit of it on the SmackDown, the go-home show to SummerSlam when she took the title from Tiff, or maybe it was a week before. I don't know. It was around SummerSlam time when she took the title and kind of was, you know, tug-of-warring back and forth with Tiff. I want to see more of that. I want to see Jade get desperate. This is the first time that we've seen her stand one-on-one with somebody and with no shenanigans, no nothing. She got beat, plain and simple. She wasn't the better woman. And I want to see that piss her off. She's not used to losing like that. And I think she's going to come back with some new attitude. We're going to run this thing back, maybe with some higher stakes, maybe a stipulation, and hopefully some better promo interaction between the two of them, build some actual decent story. And Jade ends up getting that thing. And then we do end up down the line getting Jade, Naomi, face-to-face, champion versus champion.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably one of those two options. I know Jade's kind of hinted at a character change, maybe a change of scenery. I don't really know. She talks about a storm is changing, right? After she lost to Tiffany, gives Tiffany her flowers and says, a storm's changing. You guys all won. So maybe she is tapping into that heel side. Maybe she switches brands. I don't really know. I don't really know what to think about it. Very.
So is she just going from a normal storm to like a tornado or something? Is the storm getting worse in like a specific way? The tornado, Jade Cargill, the hurricane. She takes up the mantle. I love it. Hurricane Jade Cargill. It'd be good stuff. Which one do you want to start with? Yeah, we'll start with the men's heavyweight. Seth Rollins, ruse of the century happened at SummerSlam. He fakes the injury, he cashes in, and then of course on Monday Night Raw, which just happened, we saw him in the Vision absolutely decimate CM Punk, Roman Reigns, LA Knight, all in one fell swoop. We think it's probably going to last a long, long time. But Seth Rollins, World Heavyweight Champion, down the line, who's going to be the one to dethrone him?
Yeah, you talked about just the main title scene chaos with LA Knight, Roman Reigns, CM Punk. It's got to be one of those three, right? Nah, that's not who I have. I got Braun Breaker, actually. I'm really feeding into this idea. You said it's going to be a long time. You said it's going to be a really long ways away. I agree with that. We got to see Braun Breaker being the leader a little bit while Seth was injured, right? And I really liked that. Paul Heyman seemed to really like that as well. I really kind of like the idea of them just running roughshod over LA, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Keep doing that. I honestly think we get Seth Roman at Mania. I know you're not on that train. I know we'll get to that point here in a minute. But I think that's going to be what the Mania match is. And honestly, at this point, if that is the Mania match, I don't want Seth losing. I want him going over Roman, especially because Roman's not there week in and week out like Seth is. So for me, it's a past Mania. It's a next year sort of thing. It's a long, lengthy title reign for Seth Rollins. And you get that Braun Breaker evolution thing that we've all kind of talked about wanting, but they've kind of, you know, they've gotten rid of the seeds a little bit there. You're kind of like, okay, they're a real collective unit at this point. Well, all it takes is one little interaction. So give me Braun Breaker here.
Yeah, Braun Breaker's a good pick. I would love to see them kind of rehash or redo the Evolution storyline. Give us a Batista Triple H moment down the line with, you know, I don't know if Braun would do the thumbs up and down. I don't know what he would do there, but it would be very, very similar, right? Evolution was great for a reason. It's been 20 years. Screw it, do it again. I don't have Braun Breaker, though. I think the ruse of the century and the way in which it happened with CM Punk crying with the title in his arms and then it getting ripped out in front of everybody and everybody's hearts were taken out. The story has to come full circle and CM Punk has to be the one that ends up taking the title off Seth Rollins. I'm guessing in the main event of one of the nights of WrestleMania 42 this year. I think that that's just a natural progression of the story. This CM Punk Seth Rollins rivalry has been so good. And while we all know Roman Reigns is also a big rivalry, CM Punk and Seth Rollins have been basically on a weekly basis for the better part of 2 years at this point. That deserves it to me. So I think at WrestleMania this year, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and CM Punk finally does it, defeats Seth Rollins, and gets his world title while being in a Mania main event. Wrap a bow on everything, man.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I have CM Punk actually winning at WrestleMania as well, because I have him taking it off Cody Rhodes. And you may say, well, how the hell does that make any sense? They've hinted at it a little bit, right, with Cody Rhodes and CM Punk saying, hey, eventually we got to cross paths, right? I'd like to see CM Punk, Seth Rollins stuff, how could you not? But the story to me that I really kind of want to see unfold is Seth Rollins is always ahead of CM Punk. CM Punk can never really get the job done. He can just never, no matter what it is, whether he thinks he hasn't won, Braun Breaker's there, Bronson Reed's there, Paul Heyman's there, Seth Rollins is just the better guy. Something like that, and that storyline is just kind of throughout the rest of the year. And then CM Punk decides, let's say he probably wins, I don't know, Chamber. Just throw it out there, right? Well, at this point, he can't beat Seth Rollins. He knows he can't beat Seth Rollins. So what does he do? He goes and challenges Cody Rhodes. He wins that off Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania.
So you have Cody Rhodes, huh? Or CM Punk beating Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
So Cody Rhodes, who ends up defeating him and taking the WWE title way down the line off of the new Cody Rhodes champion. I don't know. Is what I was sitting here thinking of for so long. I really wanted it to be like so hard. I was thinking so hard of like, how does John Cena get it back? Let's give it back to my boy John Cena. I can't be done with it, right? Like I can't fathom that last SmackDown when he said the champ is here. I can't get over that. Might be the last time I ever heard John Cena say the champ is here. I can't let that slide. I think that if we keep on going the heel route, or not the heel route, if we keep on going the attitude route with Cody Rhodes down the road, I think we end up getting Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes number 3 at WrestleMania. And that would mean that Roman Reigns could maybe take the title off Cody Rhodes. Still don't have that. I have Randy Orton way down the line. I think that even after WrestleMania, once we get through Cody Rhodes, Roman 3 is what I predict is going to happen. We have to full send a Cody-Randy Orton feud where Randy Orton is back to being a full-time heel. And then we need to start building the story on Randy wanting to break the record of championships, right? That's eventually going to be a storyline as well. So I have Cody Rhodes going through a lot of people, going through Roman at WrestleMania, holding this title for a long time, but eventually, probably sometime late 2026, we get Randy Orton stealing that belt from Cody Rhodes, maybe at the next 2-night SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think we kind of have the same thoughts. At least you have one of the titles changing. I have the other one changing. I think it's very clear that both titles obviously aren't going to change at Mania. I think one of them is, and the other is going to be a super lengthy, long title reign. Yeah, I think maybe you could also throw maybe like a Drew McIntyre's name out there because Drew McIntyre kind of deserves to be mentioned. He deserves to be in that stratosphere, right? That's kind of also why I went with Punk and Cody, because I was like, well, I don't really know for Cody. If it's not like a Randy and it's not a super long time down the road, I don't really have an answer.
One that's popping in my brain right now, you could freaking eventually KO should get the best of him. If I mean, that's hopefully Kevin Owens is able to heal up and get back into the ring. That's obviously the first thing that we need to get to, but I would love for them to retread those waters, because that feud was incredible. So I'd love to see that. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of people out there. It's just one of the things where Cody's reign to me is obviously the one where it's like we may look at historic lengths on that one, man. Like I have no for sure clue on who's going to take that title, because like you said, it could be Drew, it could be Randy, it could be Roman, Punk, it could be someone new.
Yeah,
Obafemi comes up, who knows?
Yeah, and I think the Punk Cody one for me, like why I went to that is they said we got to go at it eventually. Well, when is eventually? You know what I mean? It's like eventually. That clock is ticking as well. So I mean, there's a lot of good choices here, and also some of my choices people might say, well, that didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Well, if they showed us anything at SummerSlam, you might think what's coming, what's happening here, and then they're going to take a hard left, and you're going to be like, what the hell just happened?
Exactly. And that's why we started doing this before we saw any new stories happen. So those are our guesses at who's going to dethrone every WWE champion right now, post-SummerSlam. Let us know in the comments what you think, and let's get to chatting in the comments, because that's a fun conversation to be having. But for everything else, join our live streams. We do Raw, SmackDown, and every PLE. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to keep saying it for SummerSlam last weekend. Biggest stream we've ever had. It's on youtube.com/@CODWrestlePod. And then for everything else, @CODWrestlePod, COD Wrestle Pod. We have a link tree in our bio to take you to all of our social medias, including our new Reacts channel on TikTok, where you can see our live reactions to Raw, SmackDown, and PLEs that you guys are helping us build right now, which is absolutely great. But I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time.